The NBA isn't just shifting, it is absolutely shattering. Luka Dončić touching down in Los Angeles wasn't just a headline, it was an earthquake. It completely destabilized the power balance of the league. And just when the dust settled, Giannis Antetokounmpo dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. The mandate to his representation was cold and absolute. Get me to Luka, no excuses, get it done. You aren't hearing things. Behind closed doors, the Greek Freak and his camp are actively engineering an escape route to Los Angeles to join forces with Dončić. And before you dismiss this as tabloid noise, stop. Today, we are exposing the blueprint, the exact maneuvers Giannis is making to force this super team into existence. Once you see the full picture and connect the dots, the pattern becomes undeniable. You will never look at this trade deadline the same way again. If you think this scenario is just a fantasy cooked up by desperate fans, then you simply aren't paying attention to the signals. Star trades happen, contract negotiations happen. That is business as usual in the NBA. But a two-time MVP, an NBA champion, openly plotting to abandon the only jersey he has ever worn, that is a catastrophe in the making. So let's dissect how this went from a message board conspiracy to a legitimate crisis within the front office. First, understand the catalyst. Luka Dončić to the Lakers was not just a trade. It was a seismic event that redefined the modern era. Putting him in purple and gold didn't just change a roster spot. It torched the league's timeline and started a new clock. He went from being a lone wolf in Dallas to the crown jewel of the biggest market in sports. And that shift changes everything for Giannis. Because in this league, timing is the only currency that matters. When a generational talent starts looking for an exit right as another superstar lands in Los Angeles, the writing isn't just on the wall, it is screaming at us. Now, this is where the situation gets volatile. Beyond the desire to team up with Luka, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been engaged in tense, active discussions regarding his future in Milwaukee. Insiders like ESPN's Shams Charania are reporting face-to-face showdowns between Giannis's camp and Bucks management, debating whether he stays or forces his way out. The whispers are becoming shouts, and sources are confirming the unthinkable. Giannis and his agent, Alex Saratzis, have initiated critical, high-stakes dialogue with the Milwaukee Brass right now. No final trigger has been pulled yet, but the mere fact that these meetings are taking place is a massive red flag. For the first time in his career, the Greek Freak is wavering on his buck-for-life promise, and that silence speaks volumes. But if you believe this discontent just started this season, you are dead wrong. Reports confirm that back in 2020, Giannis was already scouting Miami and Dallas before he signed the extension that led to his championship ring. But stop and look at that specific timeline for a second. Luka Dončić was already the undeniable king of the Mavericks at that time. He was already MVP caliber, already the system, and already hailed as the next face of basketball. So when Giannis considered Dallas, he wasn't looking at a rebuild. He was staring directly at a partnership with Luka. That desire didn't vanish. It just went dormant, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge. Now, with the Lakers in the mix, the truth is exposed. He has been chasing Luka for years. I know, it feels almost sacrilegious to discuss Giannis leaving. He built Milwaukee from the ground up. He delivered a championship banner to that city. His loyalty was supposed to be ironclad, but loyalty dies when the rest of the league leaves you in the dust. The Bucks are crumbling. His contract offers an escape hatch. And for the first time, Giannis is questioning if he wants to spend his prime on a sinking ship. This isn't just about salary caps and trade machines. It is about human ambition. When you look closer, the pursuit of Luka isn't random. It's inevitable. This tension has been simmering for a long time. It has been building for years, playing out in plain sight. Listen to how Giannis talks about Luka. It is different. Every time the name comes up, there is a genuine reverence, a spark of excitement in Giannis's voice. Watch the footage from All-Star weekends. The chemistry, the jokes, the mutual respect, it jumps off the screen. It never felt forced. It felt like destiny. He was practically begging for it. Magic. I want magic now. Now is the time. Giannis hasn't just praised Luka's game. He has obsessed over his basketball IQ. He is an incredible player, an incredible talent, arguably one of the most talented players I have ever seen in my lifetime. It is unbelievable what he can do for himself and for his team. He marvels at how Luka sees the future, manipulating the game without needing to be the fastest or strongest athlete in the arena. And coming from Giannis, that praise is heavy. He knows exactly what it costs to carry the weight of an entire franchise on your back night after night. When a titan like Giannis bows to Luka, that is not fluff. That is a warning shot to the rest of the league. Forget the typical NBA media circus. This goes way deeper than headline. Over across the Atlantic, the press has been painting these two as the twin pillars of the New World Order for years, not just rivals, but the undisputed kings of the court. Different weapons, different wars, but carrying the exact same heavy crown. Whenever the conversation shifts to global domination, Giannis and Luka are the only names that matter. And this is critical because Giannis does not just watch the throne, he plans to sit on it, and he knows exactly who belongs there with him. The Greek Freak has gone on record practically demanding that European killers take over the biggest stages and snatch the spotlight in major markets. I want all the Europeans to hit the big cities. I want the world to witness something absolutely incredible. This is what I chase. This is the dream. He is talking about a paradigm shift commanding respect not just as international imports, but as the undeniable faces of the franchise. And Luka? He is the blueprint. He shares that crushing pressure, that national burden, and the killer instinct that says you are playing for an entire continent every time you lace up. But here is the twist that nobody saw coming, the secret that changes everything. This is not a one-way street. Reports are leaking that Luka Dončić has been behind closed doors, actively pushing the Lakers brass to pull the trigger on a Giannis trade. We are talking about Luka Dončić personally requesting the Lakers go all in for the Greek Freak. Sources are confirming that Luka did not just wait, he inquired, he pushed. He wanted to know if Los Angeles could engineer a blockbuster deal with the Milwaukee Bucks to make this fantasy a reality. And that intel comes straight from Lou Canellis. Now, with Luka holding the keys to LA and Giannis standing at the most dangerous crossroads of his career, the impossible suddenly looks inevitable. We have to rewind the tape and obsess over every word Giannis said about Luka and the bright lights of Los Angeles. Back then, it felt like a joke, a casual what-if tossed out in an interview, but looking back now, it feels like a prophecy. What makes this situation absolutely explosive is how the narrative was spun. American outlets laughed it off as superstar banter, just two icons having fun with the press. But in Europe, they saw the smoke before the fire. They treated it as a manifesto, Giannis mapping out a future where European legends dictate the legacy of the NBA's most storied franchises. This is bigger than just Luka Dončić. It is a coup, a vision of European stars seizing control of a league that used to treat them like second options. What was once a lighthearted comment has mutated into a terrifying opportunity for the rest of the league. We are way past rumors. We are staring down the barrel of a super team that could shatter the competitive balance of basketball forever. And when I say shatter the league, you need to grasp the massive context here. Luka landing in Los Angeles did not just patch a hole. It completely resurrected the Lakers' DNA. For a decade, LeBron James was the sun everyone orbited. He controlled the gravity, the time, and the narrative of the entire sport. But the king is in his twilight, and the wolves are circling. Luka did not just put on a jersey. He walked into a power vacuum and claimed the throne. Now, the entire basketball universe rotates around him, turning a team in limbo into the most dangerous show on hardwood. And this is exactly why Giannis is watching. Luka is young, scary young for a guy who already dominates like a veteran. He is a chameleon, a shapeshifter who does not force you to play his game. He adapts, he evolves, and he kills you from every angle. That is the golden ticket for Giannis, because he is done trying to be the lone savior carrying a franchise on a broken back. He wants a partner who sharpens his blade, and Luka is the perfect whetstone. Let's get real. The Lakers did not just buy a superstar. They bought a decade of dominance. Any GM would sell their soul to lock down a generational talent like Luka with the war chest to build a dynasty around him. For Giannis, that is a flashing neon sign screaming go, proving this is a spot where he can land and immediately contend for history with a peer he actually fears and respects. And the way Luka magnetizes talent, it is a completely different beast than the LeBron era. LeBron moved mountains with sheer power and story arcs. Luka pulls in killers with pure basketball IQ and seamless chemistry. He is the guy that makes a monster like Giannis look in the mirror and say, yeah, I can destroy the league with him. This is not about feeding one man's ego. It is about constructing a basketball machine that cannot be stopped. The post-LeBron era was supposed to be a graveyard for the Lakers, but Luka Dončić flipped the script and changed the game. He turned Los Angeles into the ultimate destination for a warrior like Giannis, someone who wants more than just a check. He wants immortality. Watch closely, because the ground is shifting beneath our feet. The Lakers aren't just in a rebuild phase right now. They have suddenly morphed into the single most dangerous, terrifying destination in the league. Why? Because Luka is the king of that castle. And Luka holding court in Los Angeles doesn't just make the purple and gold shine brighter. It casts a massive, suffocating shadow over Milwaukee. Think about the reality here. Giannis Antetokounmpo built a kingdom in Wisconsin. He has the ring, the MVPs, the legacy. But legends die hard, and right now, the Bucks are slamming face first into a concrete wall. Let's talk about the postseason failures. Even at the absolute peak of his powers, Giannis has hit a hard ceiling in Milwaukee. Look at the timeline. 2021 was the breakthrough title. Incredible moment, sure. But 2022, they got sent home packing in the second round by Boston, and that was with Giannis putting up a chaotic 34.5 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists a night. It wasn't enough. Then comes 2023. They ran straight into their kryptonite, the Celtics again. This time, a humiliating sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. The league has cracked the code. Giannis is a god, but even a god has limitations when the handcuffs are on. Winning one ring was monumental, but it didn't build a dynasty. It was a lightning strike. And let's be real, his supporting cast isn't built for war. This isn't that ruthless 2021 squad with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday locking things down. The current Bucks roster is a Frankenstein experiment cobbled together with duct tape and hope. They play hard, but they break under pressure. Miles Turner is a solid rim protector who can space the floor, and Kyle Kuzma can get you buckets. But are we really betting the farm on Cole Anthony and Gary Trent Jr.? These guys are nice complementary pieces for a play-in team, but they aren't the killers you need to contend for championships year after year. Now, throw the salary cap hell into the mix, and the walls start closing in even faster. The Bucks are drowning above the cap and the luxury tax aprons, which means they are completely paralyzed. They can't reshape this roster without bleeding out. They don't have the flexibility to bring in another star without sending out massive money or mortgaging their entire future. They are locked into Turner, Kuzma, and Portis with zero wiggle room. The door to improvement is slammed shut, and the scoreboard doesn't lie. Last season, the Bucks held a plus 3.1 net rating with Giannis on the floor. That means they were winning those minutes. But the second he sat down, they plummeted to a minus 0.3. The floor fell out from under them. That swing proves their success is literally hanging by a thread, entirely dependent on one man. And this season, the data is screaming even louder. With the Greek freak patrolling the court, they are sitting at a dominant plus 4.5. But the moment he steps off, they crash into the red at a minus 1.2. In plain English, when Giannis sits, Milwaukee dies. The offense stalls, the defense crumbles, and they can't keep games close. It is a total collapse. That kind of desperate dependency doesn't scream dynasty, it screams a ticking time bomb relying on one superstar to carry the entire world. And then you have the durability factor, losing key guys when the lights are brightest. Lillard's injury and absence earlier this year exposed every crack in the foundation. Even with Giannis putting up video game numbers, the Bucks lack the elite lockdown defenders or clutch shot creators that championship teams live and die by. Opponents aren't stupid. They know Giannis is the only threat. They collapse the paint, clog the mid-range, and dare anyone else to beat them. And without another alpha dog who can create his own shot or drain threes with ice in his veins, the offense turns to stone. It becomes predictable, and in the playoffs, predictable gets you sent home early. Put the puzzle pieces together, and it's clear. Milwaukee served its purpose, they got him one ring, but they are not the environment that delivers a dynasty. They can't offer the dynamic partnership Giannis needs to dominate the next era. That is exactly why the Lakers with Luka Dončić already in position aren't just attractive, they look like destiny waiting to happen. But here is the question that keeps GMs up at night. What does the apocalypse look like when these two share the floor? Talking about trades is fun, But visualizing Giannis and Luka running a system together, that is a level of dominance we haven't seen. Giannis is already a downhill force of nature. He hits the lane like a runaway freight train, devours, rebounds, switches onto wings, and protects the rim like his life depends on it. But even Superman has a weakness. In the half court, teams pack the paint, build a wall, and force him into ugly, contested jumpers. That is where the magic of Luka changes the math entirely. Luka is arguably the most lethal half-court architect walking the planet today. He dissects defenses before they even set their feet. He reads the help, manipulates the rotation, and hits Giannis on the cut with surgical precision. That kind of vision instantly turns a standard pick and roll into an unguardable nightmare for the rest of the NBA. Giannis is a literal monster on the hardwood, a terrifying mix of size, speed, and raw power that keeps defensive coordinators up at night. But here is the tragic flaw in Milwaukee. They have never, not once, paired him with a point guard who can actually unlock his full destructive potential in the pick and roll. But Luka, that man changes the entire equation. When the game is on the line and the pressure is suffocating, imagine Giannis barreling downhill like a freight train while Luka dissects the defense, dragging bodies away and carving out wide open lanes for the Greek freak to feast. This isn't just hype, it is a tactical nightmare. Even Gilbert Arenas, a man who knows a thing or two about getting buckets, has thrown his weight behind this fantasy pairing. Agent Zero went on his podcast and dropped a bombshell, guaranteeing that if you put these two titans together, you are looking at an undeniable championship dynasty within a couple of years. You pair him with Luka and give them 2, maybe 3 years, it's over. They are raising a banner. We are talking about a guy averaging 30 points, 11 boards, and 6 dimes for 5 straight seasons. Why does this work? Because right now, Giannis is basically Atlas holding up the entire city of Milwaukee, forced to carry the scoring load and anchor the defense every single night. Luka's elite shot making and wizard-like playmaking would instantly shatter that burden, taking a massive chunk of the offensive pressure off Giannis's shoulders. Look at the numbers. Giannis is dropping 31.2 points and snagging 11.5 rebounds a night, but watch closely. His efficiency plummets the second defenses collapse the paint on him. Luka is the skeleton key. He cracks the floor wide open and makes life dangerously easy for a finisher like Giannis. And on the defensive end, Luka doesn't need to be a stopper because the chemistry here is absolutely perfect. Giannis patrols the paint, swallows up wings on the switch, and destroys transition offenses, while Luka just needs to be an offensive threat that pulls defenders out of the picture. The way the modern NBA is officiated makes this duo even more lethal. Spacing is king, the pace is blistering, and the refs are calling it tighter than ever before. Luka thrives in that chaos because he is the puppet master, forcing defenses to scramble and make mistakes. Then you have Giannis, who is unstoppable with a head of steam in the space Luka creates. Combine them, and you get what experts are calling broken math. It is the ultimate cocktail of perimeter spacing, elite playmaking, and rim-shattering dominance that simply has no answer. And listen, this isn't some fan fiction dream scenario. There is a legitimate, historical blueprint for this kind of dominance. The NBA archives are filled with legendary duos that shifted the axis of the league when the stars aligned. Look at the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Jordan was the ultimate assassin, the scoring machine. But it was Pippen's versatility locking down on defense and facilitating the offense that turned a great team into an untouchable dynasty. Then you look at the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe. Shaq was the most dominant force the world had ever seen in the paint. Kobe stretched the defense to its breaking point on the perimeter. Together, they put opposing teams in a torture chamber where there was no right answer. But let's be real, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows. Kobe had to evolve, learn patience, and figure out the rhythm of playing alongside a giant like Shaq. Flash forward to the Heatles in Miami. LeBron and Wade. 2 alphas, both ball dominant, both capable of torching you for 40 on any given night. But to win rings, they had to check their egos, share the spotlight, and trust each other when the clock was ticking down to 0. That super team didn't just win, they revolutionized the league, proving that superstars could take control of their destiny and build a juggernaut without the front office holding their hand. Rewind even further to the Showtime Lakers with Magic and Kareem. One was the conductor of the symphony, the other was the ultimate finisher. Different generations, clashing styles, yet they fit together like a puzzle. That duo became legendary because everyone bought into their role and stayed together long enough to cement a legacy. That is exactly why the concept of Giannis and Luka isn't just random noise, it is destiny waiting to happen. Luka solves the half-court stagnation that has haunted Giannis for years, while Giannis covers every inch of defensive ground that Luka leaves behind. One bends the defense until it snaps with passing and creation, the other smashes through it with brute force and athleticism. But there is a deeper narrative here. Giannis and Luka wouldn't just be another all-star pairing, they would be the most terrifying European coalition in the history of American sports. Two icons who rose up outside the American system, now standing on the precipice of ruling the NBA together. And when you take a step back and look at the big picture, you realize the Los Angeles Lakers have been quietly plotting for this exact shift in the basketball universe. Because the moment they started planning life after LeBron James, the Lakers didn't hit the panic button. They didn't try to duct tape together a mediocre roster, they waited in the shadows. Luka landing in LA wasn't just a trade, it was a coronation. It was the foundation. He is young, he is a global icon, and he is already one of the most unstoppable offensive engines we have ever seen. You drop Giannis into that mix, and suddenly Luka becomes the system, and Giannis becomes the nitrous oxide in the engine. That is how you build a dynasty. You don't do it with flashy, overnight moves. You do it with calculated, predatory timing. Luka's arrival cracked the door open, but Giannis walking through it, that blows the whole building up. That is why insiders insist the Lakers are lurking. You are seeing mock trades flood the internet not because people are bored, but because the salary cap math actually works. The money makes sense. You can't trade for a guy like Giannis with hopes and dreams. The contracts have to match. The draft picks have to be loaded into the chamber. And this is where the drama spikes the Austin Reeves situation. He becomes the centerpiece of the negotiation, the sticking point. If I am sitting in that Milwaukee front office, I am demanding him. I am not signing the paper unless Reeves is on the flight. Are you willing to pull that trigger? Exactly. It is a gut-wrenching decision, but that is the cost of doing business when you are chasing a ghost like Luka. You can't get the Don, so you have to secure the next best asset on the board, and right now, that asset is Austin Reeves. Let's be crystal clear right out of the gate. This isn't the Lakers looking to offload dead weight, it is Milwaukee demanding a pound of flesh. They don't want empty promises or future IOUs, they want a bona fide killer on the court right now. Reeves is the piece that makes the math work, and frankly, he is the asset that scares the rest of the league. Every general manager knows it. But let's be real, blockbusters of this magnitude, they are never clean, they are messy, complicated wars. That is exactly where the shadow brokers come in. Third teams get dragged into the mix every single time to grease the wheels. You have got a toxic contract absorbed over here, a draft pick rerouted over there. It is pure financial gymnastics. That is the only way the impossible suddenly becomes reality. Think about it. If I am trading a legend, your personal draft picks are worthless to me because I know you are going to be winning. I do not control the next 3 years. I need something tangible. I am handing you Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you understand the gravity of that? Your team is instantly going to be a juggernaut. So handing me your own picks for the next couple of years, that is garbage. It does absolutely nothing for my rebuild. So the question becomes lethal. Do you have access to a third team's war chest? Can you get me the assets that actually matter? Now, throw in the timing, the cryptic press conference comments, the slumped body language, and the subtle signals these guys send on social media. You start to realize this isn't just smoke, it is a raging fire. And when you are talking about global icons, especially the European Titans, the spotlight burns hotter. The media frenzy multiplies, and do not think for a second that pressure doesn't crack front offices. Whether the league office wants to admit it or not, they are sweating bullets. This is exactly why the NBA is terrified of this specific conversation. Giannis and Luka in Lakers gold, that is not just another super team. That is a monopoly. It would completely tilt the axis of power. The East loses its most terrifying monster, and the West gets so loaded it becomes a total slaughterhouse. Suddenly, every other franchise is scrambling, forced to make a desperate move just to survive. But look closer, because there is a seismic shift happening right underneath the surface of this chaos. Giannis, Luka, Jokic, the European takeover is complete. These guys aren't just participating in the NBA anymore, they are grabbing the league by the throat and defining its entire future. A Giannis and Luka pairing? That wouldn't be random luck. That would be the loudest, most aggressive symbol yet of where the true power in basketball actually lives today. And that brings us to the ultimate heartbreaking tension of this entire saga. Does Giannis stay loyal to the city that raised him from nothing? Or does he ruthlessly chase the greatest version of his legacy? Is this just unfair Lakers privilege rearing its ugly head again? Or is it simply ruthless, high IQ positioning in a league that refuses to wait for anyone? If this really is the destination where all the breadcrumbs have been leading us, then maybe the most uncomfortable question we have to face isn't whether this trade should happen. It is whether the whole damn thing was always inevitable from the start.